Look at history. Go look at the family tree and the lineage and why y'all got all them generational curses now. Because your great granddaddy or your daddy even was saying happy wife, happy life, and he had a whole family on the side. It's like, what's that movie, Us? That's how that family look. It looked just like your family in your house, but just with other people. You got the brother your age, a sister your age, the baby, a dog. Okay? Think about it. What's up, y'all? So, look, let me just go ahead and keep it short with you. Did you know that as of 2024, the United States has a literacy problem? 21% of adults cannot read, and 54% of them have been recorded, and it has been documented, read below a 6th grade level. That is a catastrophe. But that's where I step in. Now, I'm not going to teach the grown folks how to read and write. However, P.S.A, the ghostwriting solution, has now a new package. It's called the Literacy Liftoff, and it caters to 9th through 12th graders who struggle with reading, writing, and comprehension. This new tutoring service will offer vocabulary skills, teaching students how to literally write from the bottom, literally teaching them how to do an introduction paragraph, how to do a hook, how to do a conclusion, how to add a little razzle dazzle, and how to add their own personal touch to it. Okay. Now, you know what you're saying. Well, Izzy, that's what they go to school for. Absolutely. But as an ex-teacher, the teachers just don't have time. So this program has 3 different packages from 3 different sets of hours that you can take. So if you're an AP, a principal, the student who needs help, the parent of the student, or you just know somebody who needs the help. If you're in the Houston area, you can get in-person tutorials. But if you are not in Houston, there are also virtual options offered as well. So hit me up at my email, theprodigyperspective@gmail.com, and or psachepodcast.com, and we will hook you up. Okay, what's going on, everybody? All right, so it is now episode 7 of the podcast. If you haven't already, please like, rate, and subscribe, and continue to tap into the podcast, as now we are on episode 7, season 8. And as I told you Monday, I said I was going to drop something. I said I had to record it and I'm going to drop it. Like I said, I still got episodes on file, but this was a topic I wanted to talk about while I was still kind of hot and I didn't want to lose it. So I wanted to strike, the phrase striking while the iron is hot. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm interested to see how this conversation is going to go, especially, again, seeing as this is the first solo episode of the season. Now, will it be the last? No. But, we try to keep it just interviews, basically. But we got a lot to talk about today. So just a quick preface of what's going on. Today, we're talking about the soft guy era. And as you see in the title, we're going to, of course, address the blessings and the curses of it, because it is an interesting take. And, a lot of these women didn't realize that this is more of a satirical thing, which I thought was perfect to talk about, since this is a podcast that uses humor as a form of satire to talk about these mental health related topics. So let's go ahead and get into this week's meme. The meme reads, men decided to act like women to show them how it feels. And I think it worked. Inspiration this week's comes from the soft guy era. Obviously, that's what we'll be addressing today, the drizzle. And also just how masculinity in general is being attacked. And the red pill community, I'm going to give my take on that as the episode goes along. So be, as Scar of Lion King would say, be prepared. All right, y'all. So let's get into the first segment of the week, which is Happy Hour. Now, for this Happy Hour, this is a quick little rant. It kind of really don't have nothing to do with this episode, but it's just a great rant for today. So for today's episode, or for today's Happy Hour segment, I want to talk about lying. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. And you probably think, well, what you talking about is it? Well, like, you know how, like, say for instance, when your parents will give you like a little white lie, they teach you not to lie, but then they lie to you. You ever remember how you, like, your parents will say something like, oh, like, say for instance, you're fat. And you'll be like, oh, I'm fat, or people have called me fat. And they'll be like, oh, you're not fat, you're not fat. And then you grow up, and then all those years later, it's the same adults that said you wasn't fat, not saying, yeah, remember when you was back and you was a little fat boy. Now, why you lie when I asked you if that I was that then? Why would you lie and say I wasn't? And I'm not talking about necessarily my parents. I'm just talking about adults that was around me. Like I said, don't lie to me. Just tell the truth. Because my logic was, you go to school and you hear one thing from these people, then you turn around and hear something at home. That is the recipe for confusion, is it not? It is. Because now you sitting here wondering, well, am I crazy? Did I hear it right? Or what's going on? That's what I would think. But let me know if I'm crazy. Or when people lie to you, like trying to insult your intelligence, like I said, if you want to live a lie, that's your business. But when it comes to lying to me about something, don't lie to me. Just tell me the truth. As far as, like I said, something like that. Also, when it comes to, what's another topic I want to talk about when it's talking about lying? Also, when it talks about, like, where I want to go with this, because I had another topic I want to talk about, but I can't remember what it was. Just don't lie to me. Tell me the truth at all times. There we go. Don't lie to save my feelings. Don't lie to spare my feelings. Because my logic is, if you're going to say it when you get mad, and I get people do say things to be hurtful in moments, and that's a real thing. But in the same breath, I'd rather know what's the vibes now. That way it won't surprise me later. Don't call me. Don't say I'm extra. I have big reactions when you really mean I'm just extra. We used the excuse earlier with the whole fat thing. Don't say, but also, like, when it comes to, what's another time I want to talk about? When we talking about, man, I had a whole thing going on with this, and I can't remember none of it, but I had a whole little script. But long story short, tell the truth at all times to your friends and to your family. And if you don't want to say it, don't bring it up. But if they bring it up, tell them the truth, because you'd rather them hear it at home than hear it in the streets. And that's always my logic. Even if they get mad, even if they get angry. So what you gonna do? Because I promise you can't beat me up. But no, for real. Where did I get that from? Let me know in the comments where I got that from, because it may or may not be on my page. We're going to let that go today, y'all. But all right, let's go on to, so as I told y'all in the live stream this past Monday, if you haven't checked it out with my boy Jeremy Robinson, please go check it out. But also, I said that this season there weren't any new segments. I actually lied. And we actually are saying RIP to a segment that has been active since the very first season, which was when I did my solo episodes, Story Time. And then obviously it's Backdoor, which was another part of the segment, which was Lessons from the Story. So we're taking that segment and we're kind of turning it up. We're turning it up because we now have a new segment, one that I think is a little more in depth and one that allows me to be a little more analytical. Instead of making up my own story, we kind of taking the things that's going on. And I kind of gave a brief rundown on this week's live stream, but I'm going to give another one here. But first, let me go ahead and introduce the newest segment, the case study. Now, this segment will be used to, like I said, be able to recap things that have gone on in a way, and whatever topic we're talking about, because I want these episodes where I'm solo to be, the whole thing to be like a case study, like a fun one, but to also, like I said, really dissect what's going on in the world, and as far as taking things that already exist and critiquing them and giving my analytical view perspective, not analytical perspective, but more so give my critiques on them in like a good and bad ways. Because when we hear critique, we instantly think negative. It's not necessarily negative. So first of all, I want to go off and you'll be able to see it here. I want to, well, not this first one, but the second meme you'll be able to see. So it's a meme going around. We're talking about the soft guy era today. And there's a meme going around that says you got to stay away from, I got to say the word. It says you got to stay away from niggas that like to impress other niggas. Now, we all know that is not necessarily a race term. Of course, it is for black people, but it also is implying that you need to stay away from men that like to impress other men. Now, what does that mean? You ever been in the club or you ever been anywhere and you seen somebody like really thirsty or really wanted to get somebody to look at what they was doing, like look at my chain, or yeah, big bro got money and big bro got the women and big bro got the cars, and it's like they try to go out their way to like impress this guy, this other guy, and their guy. Have you ever seen anything like that before? I have, and I've seen it many times, and it's just kind of like, what you got going on? Oh, I lied. We do have the clip. We do have the picture. Here it is. Okay. So now y'all see it. Now, that goes to show you that I'm not crazy. But also, isn't that not kind of weird though? Like, why is it like that? Why do men like to impress other men? Like, what's behind that? Now, am I trying to apply something else? No. But we just have to get to the root of that. Like, it's like you want to be their friend. It's like you want to, it's just like, why do you think you do that? Why do you think you do that? Now, I also have another one. All right, so let me go ahead and load this up so y'all can see it. And this one states, one of my homeboys actually tweeted this or posted this. Shout out to him. It says, hey, what the F is a soft guy era? LMAO. Why are we still competing with women? It says, first you niggas was city boys, then y'all wanted a hot boy summer, and now you niggas in you soft guy era. Come on, man, Boosie voice. And then you can't see it now, but I had also commented, I had reposted that picture and put on my story and said, bring back Shane. Now, I get what he's saying, because today, this again, we talk about the soft guy era from it was more of a, what's the word I was saying earlier? It's more from a satirical aspect. But in this era, in that post, I do agree. Like, men are trying too hard to be like women. Like, why do you want a hot boy summer? Why do you want a city boy summer? Like, a lot of the times, though, in reality, and most people don't want to hear this, but when dudes do that on social media, a lot of times they just trolling. And a lot of people don't realize that, like, men be trolling when they do that. They don't be serious. It's just like on some funny stuff. Like, it's more so to make fun of women because they kind of want too much, as that's how most men see it. Like, y'all want too much, but then at the same time, the women feel like they ain't getting enough. But also in the same time, I don't believe that we should be fighting each other, because again, we all need each other, whether people want to admit that or not. We all need each other. And that's something to keep in mind. So now let's go into this, because I do have a website I want to review. All right, so let me share my screen and let's go into it. And the title of the article from the website is, what is a soft guy era and why are men saying drizzle drizzle? The viral TikTok movement explained. All right, so let's go read down. The lady up there looks sad, don't she? Let me get this ad out the way. She looks sad. How can I get it out the way? Okay. And she now some people in the yard, summertime. All right, so there's a new movement going viral on TikTok, and it's got men entering their soft guy era. The movement is a direct response to perceived sense of entitlement in regards to dating that some women show online, particularly women who see themselves as the ultimate prize and refuse to date broke men who won't take care of them. So how did this movement get started? Is it serious, and what does the term drizzle drizzle have to do with it? And here's what you need to know. And it basically says that In 2023, a trend started going around TikTok that saw some women announcing they were into their soft girl era. This era was loosely defined by some as a rejection of the girl boss lifestyle, denoted by a focus on stress and drama-free living and self-care, with the emphasis on homemaking and finding a man that can provide for them. The era was supported by many women, but also criticized by some as a step backward to patriarchal norms. So let's talk about it. So first of all, I get it. I get that women was like, we want to go back to being a soft life and being, just to kind of relax and let the man take care of them. But some of these women took it too far. Ari the Don, she's great, right? She made a post recently and she said, like, if the man is coming to your house, he need to be paying some bills. Now, I didn't say if he's living in the house. It said he coming to your house, he need to be paying some bills. And I like Ari the Don. I think she's cool. I think she's one of them people that look like she might be stank, but then she probably like real cool in real life. That's how they be. That's how them girls like that be. They be like dummy cool in real life. But I didn't like that. I didn't like that comment because a lot of times when men don't like comments like that, women say, "Oh, it's because you broke." It ain't because you broke, and it don't mean that the man ain't gonna, these type of men ain't gonna spend money on the woman, on these women. The issue is, it's now become all y'all want is money, and then it's like a lot of girls say, "I don't need this money, I got money," and a lot of times I feel like these people and these women just put up facades for social media. We're gonna get into the lady who started. So Drizzle is a response to Sprinkle. We're gonna get into that in a minute. Now, first, let's get into the first video today. So I actually have a video and a clip from a video I want to share from a YouTuber, Amala E. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, and I don't like saying people's name wrong. So I'm just gonna share the screen and we're gonna watch this video real quick. And let's go into it.
On sort of dialing that down, getting to know our feminine a little bit, and then promoting that very same message. It's not exactly giving soft guy era. Now, I don't know how true this is to life. If you're a guy watching right now, you'll have to let me know. But it seems as though these guys are at the very least running into women on the internet who are saying things like, I won't date a broke man. I want my man to already be successful. I've even seen some women say, I need to look at a man's bank account before I agree to go on a first date. And they're sort of taking on that energy, seeing that they are somewhat being commodified, or that dating is becoming transactional to a lot of these women. And now they're throwing it back in their face and saying, you know what? I don't want to date a broke woman. And I think we're going to see more and more of these conversations because we have really ushered in an era of equality. Women are working, they have careers. Many of them are becoming far more educated than men. And that means they're making their own money. In a lot of ways, they have more earning potential than men. And these women who are making their own money are then saying, I want a man who's successful, or I want a man who pays for everything. And at some point with equality, that's not going to work anymore because it doesn't really make sense for a guy to be paying for everything that a woman gets when she has her own money. So we're going to have to balance things out. Now, do I think this is the way that we achieve that? No. And I understand that a lot of this is tongue in cheek. They just want to throw it back in women's face, sort of tell a little bit of a joke and get their lick back, so to say. But let's hear from more men who are also taking on their soft guy era. This next video actually shows you one of the women with the energy that men are responding to. She thinks she's the prize. Let's watch.
I don't like 50-50. I don't do coffee dates. I don't care how much money I ever make. I still want my man to pay for everything. He should pick me up. He should drop me off. He should buy me Ubers. In exchange, he gets to not embarrass me and breathe my air. I think it's pretty fair. I think we're even Stevens. Otherwise, I don't need a man just to have a man.
Oh, no, it doesn't sit right with me. I don't care how much money I make. I still want my man to pay for everything. How about no? See, a lot of women have never come across a man that told them no. They're simply just not used to that. See, it's 2024. You're going to be making money. You're going to be spending that. You're not just going to be sitting there spending all my money while you're sitting on yours. You're going to be spending it. I don't care. See, this is what the soft guy era is about. You women are going to start coming out of pocket. It doesn't make sense. You're a grown woman. You're going to be paying grown woman bills. And see, my problem with this is a lot of women sit here and say, oh, well, if I'm going to be paying bills, I'm going to be paying all my own bills without a man. If I'm going to pay bills, I'm going to pay all of my own without a man instead of going half on them. It doesn't make sense. And this logic shows you that they only look at men as wallets. That's literally all they look at men as, wallets. I'm telling you, that's exactly what it is. A lot of you men need to start telling these women no to see if they even really like you for real. I came across some women, bro. They be like, oh, you're the first man that ever told me no. I'm like, what? I'm the first man to ever tell you no. See, a lot of men can't keep a woman unless they're spending all their money. That's why. Listen, if she's thinking like this, bro, you're not dealing with a woman, bro. You're not. You're dealing with a spoiled little girl, a spoiled brat.
All right, so we're going to leave that video alone. Now, I agree. I think that man, shout out to him. a lot of people in general don't know how to say no. And not just women, or not just men, not women don't either. And it's a lot of people, not just in relationships, people just in general don't know how to say no. Everybody's a people pleaser. Everybody want to make everybody happy with themselves. And I got a solution for that coming soon. But in the meantime, I just want to speak on and just say, I like what she was saying of like in to rebuttal the original lady who was like, no, I don't want to go on no coffee dates. Like people, ladies that say stuff like that, women that say stuff like that. In that case, I feel like she was trolling too. But then that's the thing, we can't tell the difference between who's trolling and who's serious anymore. Everybody's a joke. So it's like, I don't know what to believe. I think that she probably lying, and I think him and the lady and the white lady, and in reality, I don't know, because everybody's sneaky. Both of them, he could have stitched her video, but they could be in cahoots. They could be together the whole time. They could be in a whole relationship in a consortium. They could be in Cat Williams' words. They could be got something going on. It was like, let's go viral. Let's just, you just never know. I don't trust none of this stuff. Now, for this case study, I got one more video clip that we're gonna watch. Hopefully, well, let's just get to it and see. Now, this one won't be as long.
And if a lot of those men start acting like this, the girls are going to hate it. They're going to regret everything, bro. They're going to regret this equality, this 50-50, and they might start acting right, because this shit even made the news.
Bro, these women are really mad, bro. Hey, it's national news. Do you see? Well, actually, Fox ain't news, is really entertainment. But still, you get what I'm talking about. Bro, the drizzle. Good job, fellas. Good job. Hold the line. Get your sandwiches. Don't settle for less. No more free validation, you did. Drizzle.
But here's the queen of the man-hating community on TikTok giving her 2 cents. So let's see what she got to say.
I got tagged in like this compilation of all these different like soft guy era fuck ass things. It's all about like women need to know how to settle, which boy do they. You think they're not doing that now? Ask your mom. They're already doing that shit, bitch. And it is written in my prophecy to rip it out of them one by one. There's also a 50-50 thing about paying for shit. Ooh, I have to pay for my own things. Ooh, what is this, Mad Men? Why don't you relax, Don Draper, all right? Women don't give a shit about paying. But if we're going 50-50, that means on everything. Every awful fuck-ass man that's like 50-50 split finance, that includes housework, bitch. So why don't you get in that fucking kitchen and get to work?
Who's she talking to, bro?
All right. Shout out to J Hall. So we won't go too much into that, but basically I'm just gonna comment on her. First of all, you ever look at somebody? Okay, hold on. I'm talking to the black people only right now, since I said the word earlier, so I can say it again in this episode. You ever looked at black people? Have you ever looked at someone that wasn't black and be like, I know they say nigga. That lady in that video, I feel like she say nigga. I don't know. It's just something about it. It's just an alarm went off, and she looked like she say that. But anyway, you didn't see Jay Hall's video. If you want to tap into his whole video, go watch it on his page. But he did say after that, he talked about how, like, he said, I'm not gonna lie, the whole 50-50 thing is annoying. I agree. Like I said, it's just like a lot of these women do want people to pay for their stuff, and it's like and it's just like, well, if you can't pay for everything. And in reality, every woman don't think like that. They do want to be spoiled and taken care of. And I agree that that should be the case. But in the same breath, I feel as though it should be done. It should be reciprocated. Maybe not as, you know, I feel like everybody take care of everybody. But in the same breath, a man paying the bills is not an issue. I don't think, I think that it's when you saying stuff like Ari the Don said, when it's like, if you come to my house, you paying my bills. Like, what? Come on now. I don't feel like you paying nobody's bills till you married. That's where people go wrong. Y'all not married. And a lot of these men who, and not all of them, but a lot of these men who be quick to pay these women bills and who be jumping down to go pay the bills and stuff, a lot of times they be cheating. All right, now let's go into the next segment, which is QT&A. I'm solo, first one of the season, which is questions that need addressing. So the first question we ask in the day. So what pushed men to embrace the soft guy era? So as we saw in the clips and in the videos and in the web and then on the article, we saw that they're being pushed to kind of counteract the sprinkle, which we'll get into that a little more later, the sprinkle, and to show women, like, put their foot down, like my boy said in the first video. No, we're going to say no, because a lot of these women want men they can run over. It's like you want them to provide. It's like this era of women that they trying to do now with this stuff is like, which it actually is synonymous with another community, which I'm gonna get into later. But they want slaves. They want you to pay. They basically do. These women that talk like that want slaves. Before hold that thought, before you get too offended, because I'm gonna say something about that later with another community. So just hold on. Second question: can this drizzle joke go too far? Every joke probably more than likely can't go too far. And I'm going to give my take on that later. I'm going to say yes now, but I'm going to go more in depth a little later. And then the third reason, or the third question, is why is masculinity being attacked? We can get into race wars. We can get into all that other stuff. But in reality, if we got down to the root of it, it's spiritual. Don't let that go over your head. We're going to touch on that a little later too. All right, y'all. So I have a few definitions. So the first definition is soft. I went ahead and defined soft. It says easily doable, not hard, squashy, easy to mold, cut, compress, or fold, not hard or firm to the touch. I define a soft guy era, which is a slang term associated with the term drizzle, used to describe a man who proudly acts soft but refusing to adhere to traditional male gender norms, such as being the primary provider for the girlfriend or wife, instead wanting their partner to pamper and provide for them. We're going to get into that later. Then the definition for masculinity, it says qualities or attributes regarded as characteristics of men or boys. All right, now let's get into the next segment right now, because you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with mental health? So let's get into what does this have to do with mental health? Now, the first one, it says emotional openness. It says, and vulnerability. The soft boy culture encourages a departure from traditional masculine norms by embracing traits like sensitivity and openness in emotions. This can lead to a healthier perception of masculinity, where emotional expression is viewed as a strength rather than as a weakness, as discussed in the psychology of soft boys. Now, before I go into more examples and from reputable sources about how this aligns with mental health, remember, the original soft boy era that they're talking about is a joke, but there is a version of it that is more like what I just read. More that is like men should be a little more like relaxed, more not lazy. Let's read some more. The second one is balancing online interaction and real-world connection. It says, while being part of the online softball community can offer a platform for emotional expression and creativity, it can also perpetuate isolation from face-to-face interactions, which are crucial for mental well-being. The third one that I like, it says prioritizing self-care and intentional living. Soft living is often associated with the soft boy culture, promotes the importance of self-care and in making lifestyle choices that prioritize mental health. This includes strategies such as setting personal boundaries and managing stress through relaxing and mindful activities, as detailed in What is Soft Living. How this social media trend is transforming mental health. So before we go to the next section, because this one is just strictly just the notes for this part, I will say, and in the next segment, really going to go more in detail because I like how it all ties together. But what I will say with this is it shows that soft, there are many, again, we know words have different definitions and can, mean different things. So from one angle of the soft life is basically saying a man that's in tune with his mental health, prioritizes self-care, not just this, because a lot of time, especially in the red pill community and the toxic masculinity, which some people challenge doesn't exist, it does exist, which is just, I'm just hard, firm man, and I don't show emotion, and I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, it's okay to be vulnerable, but when we hear soft, we instantly think weak, docile, scary. That's what society is going to naturally think. And in reality, I personally think that it's okay to speak from the soft guy era from like the satirical standpoint, but to refer to myself as a soft man, I don't really think that that's beneficial or helpful or a win. I don't believe that. But like I said, if you want to do it from the joking standpoint, I think so. But from these angles of mental health and, you know, self-care and being in tune to necessarily, you know, being open about your emotions. Now, that doesn't mean being a crybaby, because there's a difference, but being open about your emotions, expressing how you feel, because a lot of these men who are suicidal, a lot of these, because they don't open up, a lot of these men are violent because they don't open up, or are, you know, drinkers, you know, has sex with all these women just because they don't open up. So if it requires you, or this allows you to be more of a man, as far as from the actual God-given, not God-given, be more of a man, more so from God's angle or God's view of masculinity or God's perspective of masculinity, then it's best to be open. But like I said, just verbally referring to yourself as soft is kind of like, it's a slippery slope. It's a hard no for me. But again, if we're doing it from the joking angle, we can joke all day. All right, let's move to the next segment, which is I challenge that. Now, let's challenge into it. So let's go back to the meme about impressing other niggas. Again, that's weird. And when you really, I'm glad somebody made a post about it, but really trying to impress anybody at this age, to me, is a little weird. You should only be trying to, if anything, impress yourself. And at pushing 30, if you're not already 30, it's kind of like we got to let this ideology of trying to, you know, put on a show for other people. Like I said, now, if you're getting paid to put on the show, you put on the best circus possible. But the other stuff, it's not worth it. It's just like, you need to get to the root of why do you think you're doing that? I remember many years ago, it was a Looney Tunes movie. I think it was Looney Tunes Back in Action. And I remember, I thought it was so strange because they was like, the damsels in control and the heroes in distress. And, you know, the original phrase was the heroes in control, the damsels in distress. So they did that little switch. And even back then, I thought that was a little strange. I was just like, it was different, because it's basically saying the woman was the hero and the man was the one she was saving. And is there anything, should a woman save a man? I mean, yeah, we see it in superhero movies from time to time, but we typically think of the man as the one who goes and saves. So then that asks the question, can a woman save a man? I say it just depends. But it depends if, like, say, for instance, and I don't know why I'm thinking about Batman, or not Batman, Superman and Wonder Woman. Like, if Wonder Woman saved Superman, Superman wouldn't have been weak and docile if she saved him. It would have been for another reason why he got saved. It wouldn't have been because he was just like scary and she's the big old superhero and he's just the weak man. It wouldn't have been like that. Let's go further. Let's talk about men dressing like women. What's y'all takes on that? Cat Williams called it out a long time ago. Well, it seemed like a long time ago, but it was really just some months ago on Club Shay Shay, when he talked about, you know, these men wearing a dress and they accepting the oath and all that. And I get some people look at it as just like physical comedy and just playing a character. And, you know, I wouldn't do it. And some people who do it, I don't believe that they necessarily sold out. Not some did, but not everybody. But in the world we live in now, representation is everything. And my question would be, what are you teaching the next generation when you do that? Especially for some of these people who already got kids. What impression do you think that leaves for the next generation? Do you think they might say, I actually remember when I was younger, on all that, Keenan and Nick Cannon was dressed as women at the gas station. And I remember both my parents was laying on the bed. We was watching it. And I remember them asking me, they was like, do you think that that's okay to do? and just asking me just to probe my head about it. And I was like, no. I was laughing at it, but I didn't think it was normal. I thought it was just like, characters, but I didn't think nothing of it at the time. But I definitely didn't think like it was normal because, but I was just like, it was just little questions like that to see where my head was at. But no, I never was like, oh, this is cool. It was just like, it's funny to laugh at, but there's somebody who might be thinking like, I want to do this, and it's just something to think about because people like to reenact what they see on TV, especially kids. So let's talk about again the soft guy era in general as well and how it aligns with, and going from the angle of why this can be and could be an issue. So the first one is confusion in gender roles and expectations. According to discussions from Fox News and EV Magazine, the soft guy era promotes less traditional roles in relationships, such as shifting economic responsibilities. This can lead to misunderstandings and dissatisfaction if both partners do not have clear and shared expectations. So again, that goes to the whole 50-50 thing. If he thinking we should do 50-50 shit, like you should pay all the bills. But I think a lot of times in reality, I think most men don't care, but they want to know if something happened, you'll be able to help out. And then nobody want no woman who just lazy and just laying around, you know what I mean? And just you looking good, you giving up sex, and it's like, oh, well, I'm just here. Like, what you doing? You know what I mean? The second is loss of traditional masculinity without adequate replacement. According to EV Magazine, while it is beneficial to challenge toxic elements of traditional masculinity, the soft guy era sometimes discards these traditional elements without offering a healthy and balanced alternative. This creates a void, leaving young men without clear models of how to positively embody masculinity today. There's an attack on masculinity. I said that before. The third one is commitment and relationship dynamics. According to Modern Intimacy, the soft guy era is sometimes associated with reluctance to commit in relationships. This perception is linked to the broader aesthetic and behavioral changes in men who reject traditional masculinity, which can complicate relational expectations and dynamics. And then the last one we're going to read is identity and psychological challenges. So according to EV Magazine, as traditional norms of masculinity are being challenged, so many men may struggle with their identity and how they perceive their roles in society. This shift can lead to internal conflicts and psychological stress if they feel pressure to conform to the new norms that value emotional openness over traditional masculinity markers. So in short, it's an attack on the identity. If, you know what I'm saying? Because like if we take what I just said with the whole all that situation, right? I wasn't affected by seeing them dress like women and act like women on TV. There might have been another child who did see that and was affected. It's similar with the soft guy era. Some people might see it and able to laugh at it and joke around with it and like me, haha, it's funny. Yeah, Miss Mamas, you should pay for my food, my meal today. I even saw a video where a dude was telling the girl, like, give me $200. And she was like, I'm going to give you $150. He was like, no, you're going to give me $200. And she sent it. Now, the joke behind that was they probably was in a relationship and he probably paid for her stuff all the time too. But he just, how people record stuff. But similar with the soft guy era, there are some men who might take what's being done with the soft guy era and then be like, and really internalize it. And now this is who they've become. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to, they want to be the prize. And there's nothing wrong being the prize, but there's a way to go about it, if that makes sense. And I think that sometimes a lot of these issues stem from things that have happened in people's childhoods and things that they never dealt with and things that they never handled. So when we talk about masculinity, it's interesting to hear, and I'm going to say this and go to the next part. Most people who state what men should do didn't grow up with a father. So then that's my question. How do you know what a man should do if you didn't grow up with a father? Did you get your ideology from a movie or a YouTube video because you didn't have it in real life? And I mean, that sounds shady, but that's just really a question. And that's not even just at the men, that's at the women too. Like, how do you know? Men don't do that. How you know? How you know what men do? Who told you that? Think about it. All right, y'all, let's go to the next segment, which is the weekly sabbatical. Now, the answer to what pushed men to the soft guy era. So there's this lady out whose name is P.S.A. And I'm not gonna say she's an industry plant. Do I believe people are industry plants? Absolutely, because she's sprinkle. She the lady who will be like, oh yeah, he ain't pay my bills, he ain't coming over here, or oh, he didn't do this, I ain't going nowhere with him, or if men asking me what I want, I'll know it when I see it. Like stuff like that, just kind of like dogging men and disrespecting men. And to an extent, I get why women do it, because it's kind of like a get back or get your lick back. You know, we live in a society where everybody believes in getting their lick back. And I'm not necessarily an advocate for that. Have we all done it before? Have I done it before? Absolutely. But I'm not an advocate for that. But in the same breath, what I will say is she getting her lick back. But then my question is, people like her, is she in a relationship? Because sometimes people like this will be doing stuff like this on this social media, brainwashing y'all. And then behind the scenes, she probably got the love of her life. I believe it. P.S.A. probably got the love of her life, where it's similar to like them city girls and all of these women who promote that whole agenda, but they really not hoes in real life. They just promoting it for y'all, and then y'all do it, and y'all all messed up while the same person promoting their lifestyles at home. You know what I mean? Similar to rappers, you know, especially rappers back in the day, now too. But they promote that like, oh, I got all the women and all this stuff. They promoting the lifestyle they don't live whole time. They got a wife at home. They still be cheating. Some of them, not all of them, but still, you get what I'm saying. So now we done kind of talked about it from a bunch of different angles. So let's ask this question. Are men called to be soft? Joshua 1:9 says that, have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Is it possible to be strong, courageous, and soft at the same time? I honestly think it depends on what you think soft is. It really just depends on what you think soft is. And that's the main thing. So like I said, we mentioned earlier, is self-care soft? No. Is being vulnerable with your wife or your woman soft? No. Is shutting down every time somebody says something you don't like soft? Yes. So it just depends on what you consider soft. And I do believe that men should have a soft heart. Now, when you hear soft heart, that doesn't mean necessarily super sensitive, but more so, let's redo it like this. Let's align it with the 5 themes. I got a website that I found and did some research, and it says the 5 themes of biblical manhood. So the first one is that a man controls his emotions and passions. Single or married, a real man tames his passions. He doesn't abuse women or children. He protects them. He keeps his hands off a woman who is not his wife and treats his wife with love, respect, and dignity. He keeps his eyes off pornographic images. Y'all don't want to hear that. He protects a single woman's virginity and innocence. He's not defined by his exploits below the waist. He's a man with a heart, head, and a conscience. So when you hear that don't sound like a soft man. That man sounds like somebody who's in control. A lot of times people think that when you say whatever you want to say, how you want to say it, that's strong, and that's actually weak because you can't control yourself. The second one, it says a man provides for his family. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if anyone does not provide his own, especially with those of his household, he has denied the faith and worse than an unbeliever. It then says when a man doesn't work and provide for his family, he feels a sense of shame. His self-worth sinks. A man who doesn't work, who can't keep a job, who moves from job to job, refuses to assume his responsibility, creates insecurity in his wife and children. Every man needs to provide for his family. I agree with that. It then says the third one is a man protects his family. It says, to borrow an illustration from John Piper and Wayne Grundam on the essence of masculinity, it says that when you are lying in bed with your wife and you hear the sound of a window being open in your kitchen at 3 a.m., do you shake her away and say, this is the last time this occurred, I was the one who took our baseball bat and investigated to see if someone was breaking into our house. Now it's your turn, sweetheart. Here's the bat. No. It says, but being a protector costs more than ensuring physical safety. Proverbs 4:10 through 15 describes a father who protects his son by passing on wisdom, helping him build godly character, and teaching him to reject the lies and temptations of the world. It says the father protects not only his son, but the generations to follow as the wisdom he shares gets passed on. So briefly earlier, I mentioned another community that I said was actually putting the two genders against each other, and actually a community that was somewhat toxic. The red pill community. Now, there are some red pill people who I actually keep up with, and I enjoy their content. I don't agree with everything that they say, and I overall don't agree with everything in that community, because they're really based on, everything with them is A plus B equals C. A plus B equals C. They always go down and talk about the biology of a man and this, that, and the third. But in reality, especially if you believe in like God and stuff, you have to understand that everything is not going to be A plus B equals C every time. And also, a lot of times too, they feel as though like they treat like a man will be successful without a woman, but a woman won't be successful without a man. And I believe, and then we think about, I believe that the red pill community to men is what the feminist community was to women. It's like it empowers them, but it does it from the wrong angle. And again, there's nothing wrong with like women empowerment, as I said before, but feminism is a problem. There's nothing wrong with male empowerment and rising up men and empowering men, but that red pill community, it's just kind of like it's just more toxic, and it's more negative than it is positive in so many angles. And I don't want to spend this whole episode talking about that. That'll have to be a whole another conversation another day. But long story short, when I go back to the point about passing on wisdom and talking about rejecting the lies and temptations of the world, the temptation of the world would say a man should be a hoe. A man, it's okay for a man to have a whole bunch of women. That's just how it's supposed to be. And that's not the biblical standard. Or it says that a man is okay to like basically be dominant, like maybe not necessarily hit the woman, but say things like this how it's gonna be and that's how it's gonna be. Now I agree with that to an extent, but a lot of times the red pill people take it too far. Same thing, kind of like with the whole soft guy era. I feel like in some angles it's funny and we laugh at it, but I feel like it'll go too far if they let it. But I don't want to be here all day. The next part says, man serves and leads his family. It says serve and lead may seem like a contradiction, but they're inseparable according to scripture. While the apostle Paul tells us in Ephesians 5:23 that the husband is the head of the wife, he quickly puts to rest any notions that his leadership allow for selfish male dominance. It says he completes the sentence with, as Christ also is the head of the church. So the then goes into the next point that says a man follows God designed for true masculinity. Micah 6:8 says, he has told you, oh man, what is good and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. The core of a man's life should be his relationship with God. The man who walks humbly with God is motivated and empowered to step up and assume the difficult responsibilities that come his way. And I will say, like, even with red pill, a lot of times they do and say men need to, deal with difficulties and men. So I agree with them to an extent, but just the whole overall, all their ideologies and logics, not so much. And that's just something to keep in mind too. But again, we're gonna have to say that for a whole nother episode because we'll be here all day because we already getting late in the time. So, as I stated earlier, men crying and being vulnerable is not soft. Again, it is if it's like excessive to the point of you are sad and not sad. Let me say that. That came off wrong. Not sad, but more so from the angle of you're whining. Crying is not an issue. Whining is. The other part is, like I said, men getting manicures and pedicures. There's nothing wrong with that. Painting the nails, I'm not doing that. See, that's to me soft guy era going too far. What's your take on men painting their nails? Now we see people like Drake, Lil Uzi, and all them doing it. As a man, why would you want to? You got to answer for me. I want to answer. I want y'all to answer that. As a man, why do you want to paint your nails? Let's talk about it. The next point says that men going to therapy. Now, in years past, still even now to an extent, in some people's opinions, men going to therapy is soft. It's not soft. We need to talk to somebody. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm obviously, and this is a mental health podcast, so I'm all for it. So now I did do some research. Again, this has been a very this episode has been there's been a lot of research and a lot of statistics, or not statistics, more so a lot of data. Now it says this comes from Healthy Masculinity. Should we redefine what masculine means? I like a lot of the points made. I don't have all of them, but my only, and not saying women can't do this, but my only critique for this article is that it was written by a woman. But let's get into some of the things. So it says the first one is encouraging emotional expression. Advocates for healthy masculinity stress the importance of men feeling free to express their emotion without stigma, enhancing their emotional well-being. Women, you got to stop shutting men down when they tell you how they feel, because then y'all do that, and then when they do something out of anger, then it's like you confused at what happened. And a lot of times women think that dismissing a man when he's showing his emotions is because they say, well, that's not what a man should do. And then it's like, he'll never tell you nothing again. So then he build up everything, and then it comes out in other ways later on. Negative ways later on. The second one is promoting mental health awareness. Professionals push for increased awareness and support for men's mental health challenges, addressing issues like depression and anxiety that are often unreported. The third one, which I like, breaking down stereotypes. There is a focus on dismantling traditional stereotypes that define manliness in limiting ways, promoting a more inclusive understanding of masculinity. It says encouraging positive role models, highlighting and advocating for positive male role models who demonstrate emotional intelligence and resilience. It says resilience training, promoting training and resources that help men develop resilience and cope with life's challenges effectively. And then 8, community engagement, encouraging active involvement in community activities that support mental health and provide a sense of belonging. So that's the main thing. It's all about community. Like I said, I would never say with women, they'll say stuff like, I said it once and I said it again, we all need each other. So their logic of we don't is wild, but ultimately we all need each other. So keep that in mind as we live in this crazy world. All right. So the question, the challenge for this week is, what are your take on a soft boy era? Do you think this is the downfall of men? Why or why not? Like I said, my opinion and my final thoughts for today, if we keep it as a joke, cool. And it also is to show women like, look, this how y'all sound. That's the point of satire. The effort, the point is to make fun of something with the effort that it'll change. So it's showing y'all ladies, this is how y'all look. And it's still some women defending this is how it's going to be. But I have to ask, where your man at? Because then it's like, do you have a slave? Then I have to ask, did you grow up with a father? You know what I'm saying? So we have to dismantle that theory, happy wife, happy life. It's happy house, happy spouse, happy house, happy house, happy spouse. So everybody should be happy, because a lot of times when the men would make sure the wife was happy and do everything she wanted, he had a whole nother family. Look at history. Go look at the family tree and the lineage, and why y'all got all them generational curses now, because your great granddaddy or your daddy even was saying happy wife, happy life, and he had a whole family on the side. It's like, what's that movie, Us? That's how that family look. It looked just like your family in your house, but just with other people. You got the brother your age, a sister your age, the baby, a dog. Okay? Think about it. But all right, y'all, this has been a great first solo episode of the season. Next week, we have another interview back to the regularly scheduled program. So thank y'all for tuning in. P.S.A. signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And remember, please remember, I love us for real.